Do you think we need a specific legislation, whether it is for privacy or security or equity or any of those specific to AI in healthcare?
How do you make sure those that have power use it wisely, justly, and effectively? And how can populations as well, empowered with the knowledge and tools to also co-design and co-develop this well at the same time? So it's not a question of the populations versus the powers or vice versa. So I think this is an excellent practical or regulatory implication of that earlier question. So there's, I think, a very helpful analysis done a little while back on the Brussels effect, as it was coined, I believe, by an NYU professor, about that importance of the competing regulatory frameworks. And this is only heating up in the data and the AI world. I mentioned earlier about arguably the rivalry of the regulatory regimes of the EU, the US, and China. If you have more of a respectively rights driven versus business driven versus state driven regulatory approach. And so the challenge is, if that's where most of the tech is going, then by default, most of the AI and the data governance models globally are therefore going to follow from there. So if you have the US that appears to have a largely shifted a lot of the onus on companies to self-regulate, and that's a simplification, but generally, I think we can argue that. And in China, they're more of a state-driven. The challenge, though, is that there's, I think we can argue maybe stronger, maybe barriers or hurdles between their internal markets and elsewhere. So it's difficult to have these three competing regulatory frameworks talk to each other, let alone standardize so that corporations can make a product for one company or one market, like the EU being the largest single market, that's not going to conflict with regulatory requirements, for instance, in the US, China, and the global South.